Alternatives on my desk. This was where I was planning to read.
Councillors, ladies and gentlemen, please be upstanding for the Mayor of the City of Clarence, Councillor Brendan Longley.
Hello, welcome all. Before proceeding, I pay my respects to the Mummerimba people as the traditional and original custodians on the land on which we meet, and I acknowledge their continuing connection of the Tasmanian Aboriginal people to the skies, land and waterways. I pay respect to elders past and present. Before we commence with tonight's council meeting, please let us all pause for a quiet moment of reflection and respect. Thank you, councillors. Please be seated. Well, good evening and welcome to the Clarence City Council meeting of Monday, the 26th of June 2023. This meeting is being broadcast live on YouTube, and what is said in this meeting is not protected by privilege, and there is a link to the agenda papers on Council's website. Item number 2, apologies. We have an apology from Councillor Heather Chong. Otherwise, we have a full house tonight. Item number 3, declarations of interest of councillors or close associates. Are there any declarations from councillors? There being none, we move on to our omnibus items. Item 4.1, confirmation of the minutes. That the minutes of the council meeting held on the 5th of June 2023 and a special council meeting held on the 19th of June 2023 have been circulated. Are there any issues arising? Councillor James.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I refer to item 5.2, answers to questions on notice. In relation to the right of reply, it was my intention, Mr Mayor, to congratulate Council on its street art policy. It has been a tremendous breakthrough in relation to what we have achieved over the many years. And also I was going to refer to the fact that Dr Chu has a beautiful piece of street art adjacent to Bayfield Street, and in my basic right of reply was to congratulate Council on its policy, and I hope that in continuation in relation to more notions of street art being actually included as part of our beautification of this wonderful city.
Thank you, Councillor James. It's a point very well made, and we were all there for the unveiling. Most of us were there for the unveiling, 2 years ago now, at that particular street art to which you refer, so thank you very much.
Thank you.
Are there any other items arising from the minutes? There being none, we move now on to item 4.2.1, Mayor's Communication. The first item I have is a letter from the Tasmanian Electoral Commission regarding or advising the result of the recent Local Government Association Tasmanian election. I'm pleased to announce, if you're not already aware, that Mayor Mick Tucker of Breakaday Council has been elected the President of LGAT. And with regards to the General Management Committee for the Southern Region, the Southern Electoral District for population less than 20,000, Mayor Lee Gray from Brighton Council has been elected our representative there. And for the Southern Electoral District for population greater than 20,000, Mayor Paul Lorette of Kingborough Council has been elected. So I'll table that correspondence. And on behalf of Council, I congratulate all successful candidates. I wish them well during their 2-year term as members of the General Management Committee of LGAT. Moving now on to Mayor's diary entries. I table my activities from the 6th of June through to today, the 26th of June. Also, the Deputy Mayor, Councillor Alison Ritchie, Councillor Jade Darko and Councillor Heather Chong, who also represented me at different events during that period of time. Moving now on to 4.3, Council workshops, as listed in the agenda. Moving on to 4.4, tabling of petitions. CEO, are there any petitions?
No, Mayor, thank you.
Thank you, CEO. Moving now on to reports from outside bodies. The first one being the Copping Refuge Disposal Site Joint Authority. The March 2023 quarterly summary is provided. Councillor Walker, is there anything else you'd like to add?
Nothing particular other than just to note the tonnage is up.
Thank you, Councillor Walker. Moving on to the Tas Water Corporation. As colleagues will note from my diary entries earlier today, I attended the Tas Water General Meeting in Launceston, where the updated shareholders' letter of expectations was agreed. The corporate plan for the next 5 years, 24 through to 28, was agreed. And with just 2% of the population and 30% of the nation's water infrastructure-related assets, the overarching approach of Tas Water is one to rationalise, reduce and renew. Also, colleagues are advised that recruitment company Davidson have been engaged to fill 2 board director positions, and the updated board selection committee travel and business expense policy was agreed in line with CPI. So I table the Tas Water corporate plan and the quarterly report to owners' representatives for the 31st of March 2023 quarter. Councillor Walker.
Look, I haven't had time to read that report. I'll be interested to know if it has reasoning why the credit card payments option seems to have almost been erased from the bills that people are receiving, and they've got to do some research to get it. So,
sure.
I'll just put that on notice, and I look forward to reading the report to see if...
Thank you. And Councillor Walker, I'll just make the point though too, if there is a question arising from that, it's probably more appropriate at the end of the meeting during Council's question time, but thank you for the question. Moving now on to the Greater Hobart Committee, just to report that the 4 Metro Mayors, we wrote to the Deputy Premier, the Honourable Michael Ferguson MP, last Tuesday in his capacity as Minister for Infrastructure, and we shared the proof of concept report for the Derwent Ferry Expansion project that was funded by Hobart City Council. In that letter, we called for the establishment of a formal project steering committee to provide a consultative forum for officials from the Tasmanian Government and the Greater Hobart Councils to progress planning, feasibility and the development of infrastructure to support an expanded ferry service operating on our majestic River Derwent, and I'll keep colleagues updated on progress there. Colleagues, are there any other reports from Council and special committees and other representative bodies? There being none, move now on to 4.6, weekly briefing reports. The weekly briefing reports are the 5th, the 12th and 19th of June 2023 have been circulated to councillors. Are there any matters arising? Councillor James.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Firstly, to the 12th of June, in relation to upcoming works on Cambridge Road and Percy Street, Belrive. In the attached memo on page 2, it refers to, amongst other things, consultation with affected businesses has been undertaken, including letters to stakeholders and face-to-face meetings with the most impacted businesses. I just would like to know, on the attachment is that actual letter, but it's not dated. So this letter, has it been sent some time back, or has it going to be circulated as, or basically as at the date of the 15th of June 2023?
Thank you, Councillor James. Mr Graham.
Through you, Mr Mayor. So the immediate businesses were sent a copy of this letter in April this year. Because it's night works and the noise may extend to Queen Street and Clarence Street, last week or the week before we emailed, so we forwarded this similar letter to a wider area, and then this week we will be doing another copy of the letter to the immediate businesses so they know that the works are planned for mid-July to commence, and also the contractor will be also giving a letter to the nearby businesses prior to the works commencing as well.
Thank you, Mr Graham. Councillor James?
Yes, on the same, the same weekly briefing report of the 12th of June, I refer to, on page 6, appeal against Council's decision regarding 64 Cremorne Avenue in Cremorne. I quote, "A preliminary hearing has held on the 7th of June 2023. All parties agreed to undertake mediation and the date has been set for the 23rd of June. Mr Mayor, I seek advice as to whether or not there's any outcome in relation to the 23rd of June, or is that still pending?"
Thank you, Councillor James. Ms Tomlin, are you able to provide it?
Yes, through you, Mayor.
Thank you.
The dates have actually been extended until the 20th of September, so it's still going through mediation at this time.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Councillor
Finally,
James?
yes, finally, and I'm sorry to take up colleagues' time, if that's how they see it. On the 19th of June, under the Draft Container Refund Scheme, Regulations 2023, I have a question in relation to the, on page 5, where it refers to, I quote, "I would like to see consideration be given to the inclusion of collection point arrangements in the regulations." And my question is the Mornington Transfer Station considered an inclusion of collection points in the regulations?
Thank you, Councillor James. Mr Graham.
Through you, Mr Mayor, we don't have information at the moment as to where the collection points are proposed for the state. We certainly understand from informal discussions that Mornington Park has been part of some discussions, but we don't believe that the tenders have been formally let or awarded in terms of all the works related to the container refund scheme.
Thank you.
Once we know, we'll inform Council.
Thank you, Mr Graham. Thank you, Councillor James. Are there any other issues arising from the weekly briefing reports? They're being done. I note that we're at the end of our omnibus items. Can I have a mover, please, for the omnibus motion? Thank you, Councillor Warren. Seconded, Councillor Kennedy. All those in favour? That's unanimous. Thank you very much, colleagues. Moving now on to item 5, public question time. Public questions on notice, there are none. Answers to questions on notice, there are none. Answers to previous questions taken on notice, there are none. Questions without notice. Are there any in the public gallery? Mrs Marsh, welcome back.
Is that in the right place? Yeah. My name's Joanne Marsh and I live in Belrive. Ratepayers who rallied against aspects of the Belrive Beach Park Draft Master Plan in 2012 to save the public open space of the park from further intrusions linked to the part of 15 Durrant Street leased to Cricket Tasmania would heartily agree with Alderman Blomley's comments in his explanatory notes tabled on the 4th of July 2022, in which he stated, "All too often, our community is frustrated by the time it takes to deliver on promised master plans, and there is a need to ensure the expectations of all stakeholders are managed through open and transparent communication and accountability mechanisms." Documentation tabled on the 5th of September 2022 states that Belrive Beach Park will be a regional standard public open space with high levels of service, amenity and access for the community to both the beach and the parklands. The master plan positions the park as a prime coastal recreation destination for residents and visitors of Clarence. In the 10 years until 2022, the master plan has had 11 phases with 3 future phases. Phase 14 lists 8 significant works. Belrive Beach Park has thousands of visitors each week. It currently has no baby change facilities. The toilets are located too far away from the All Abilities playground. Kayaks are still being unloaded onto the shared pathway before being dragged down the bank onto the beach, and stormwater is still not being adequately managed. In his most recent Mercury talking point on June the 5th, Mayor Blomley stated, "In 15 to 20 years' time, not only will our city be a smart city, but it will also be a considered and coherent city that many people have carefully planned in intricate detail to ensure optimum livability and well-being." So my question is, as each master plan speaks to the other, what can the council advise the thousands of weekly visitors about where the completion of the Belrive Beach Park master plan sits in the 15 to 20 year time frame, considering planning and construction has already been underway for over 10 years?
Mrs Marsh, thank you for that. It wasn't actually a question, it was a deputation. And this is not an opportunity for you to come in here or anyone else and take pot shots at me or anybody else in this chamber. So I will come back to you with a written response, but in future I would ask, take a seat, Mrs Marsh. No, you will take a seat. Mrs Marsh, they excuse you, take a seat, Mrs Marsh. Mrs Marsh, take a seat. Take your seat, Mrs Marsh. Take your seat. I will not have you come in here and use this chamber as your plaything. That question was over a minute long. It wasn't a question, it was a deputation. You're quite able to make deputations. I will not have you come in here take potshots at me or anybody else. Please take your seat. You'll get a written response in due course. Take your seat, Mrs Marsh. Mrs Marsh, take your seat. Mrs Marsh, take your seat. Mrs Marsh, I don't need to explain, take your seat. Take your seat. Mrs Marsh, take your seat. Colleagues, I'm calling a 5-minute recess. Mrs Marsh, take your seat or you'll be removed. Thank you.
I don't know.
Andrew, are we back on now? Oh, thank you. All right, colleagues, moving now on to, there are no deputations by members of the public, or no more to be had. Moving now on to item 7, Planning Authority matters. Council now intends to act as a planning authority under the Land Use Planning and Approvals Act of 1993. We move now on to item 7.1, a section 40T combined scheme amendment application, development application, proposed rezoning and 8-lot subdivision at 30 Holland Court, Howrah. I'll call for a mover, please. Councillor James, thank you. And a seconder? Thank you, Councillor Hume. Councillor James.
Yes, look, it's a very interesting situation that has arisen here, and I just had a quick word with the Manager of City Planning and in relation to the fact that in the recommendation it refers to, amongst other things, at Part 5, that pursuant to Section 42A, Mr Mayor, that the representations received support during the advertising period, support the modified draft permit, but is to be withdrawn due to the non-compliance of the bushfire-prone areas code. And I just find that a little bit unusual, given that I would have thought that part of the bushfire management plan for any particular development, such as this within that particular zone or management area, would have been sorted out as part and parcel of this particular development under 40 and 42. So look, I would just seek, if it's through you, from the Manager of City Planning as to whether or not this matter was raised as part of the proposal when they submitted the documentation for, obviously, for consideration, because it's going to take a little while, I think, to probably produce the bushfire management area code, and therefore it may sort of hold up the process. But could I just seek some additional information?
Thank you, Councillor James. Ms Tomlin, please.
Thank you, through you, Mayor. The Bushfire Hazard Management Plan was received throughout the assessment upon request. However, there was an issue with the certification, and TasFire have recommended that a revised Bushfire Hazard Management Plan be submitted. We were expecting that report prior to this evening, however it wasn't yet received. The applicant assures us that it's underway and waiting for final sign-off with TasFire, and it'll be presented at the hearings should it progress.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms Tomlin. Councillor James.
Yes, okay. Thank you, Mr Mayor. Okay, look, it would have been great to have that ticked off at this stage, and therefore a smooth, I would have suggested, smooth transition into the TPC as part of that process. Okay, look, I seek council support, and hopefully it will be resolved in the near future. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor James. Councillor Hume.
Thank you, Mayor. I think the important thing here is that that part of the recommendation that was moved by Councillor James is that there is the opportunity for council to reinstate its support for this development should they provide a complying bushfire management plan. You know, sometimes these things don't go smoothly, and my understanding is, yeah, there was an issue with the certification of the person who produced the plan that was originally submitted. I'm not sure if that's something that can always be anticipated. So, but the opportunity is there, and it should be a fairly simple fix for the developer.
Thank you, Councillor Hume. Any other colleagues like to make a contribution? Councillor Hunter.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Just a question. Does council have a policy about maintaining or allowing council land to be part of the bushfire assessment and clearing vegetation on council land?
Thank you, Councillor Hunter. CEO.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you for the question, Councillor Hunter. Council doesn't have a written policy, but we have a practice of not approving bushfire hazard management plans that rely on council land for maintenance. There's a couple of reasons for doing that. Quite often that land is into a declared reserve. So from the point of view of how we manage that reserve, it shouldn't be impacted by external arrangements. It should be self-contained. And in the context of who is able to actually maintain that, and for liability reasons, we obviously restrict reliance on our land as bushfire hazard management. Blocks that have those requirements inevitably have building envelopes and other features that are designed around a bushfire zone, so that compliance is easy. But some people decide and choose to do something different, in which case they either need to build to a higher BAL rating or find some other arrangement.
Thank you, CEO. Councillor Hunter. Councillor Mulder.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I have, as raised on Friday's agenda brief, I have deep concerns about the fact that the bushfire management plan, and we go back to the document that I referred to on Friday, which is attachment 8, and it's also the same diagram appears on figure 1 of 30 Holland Court, and that is that on lot 7 there's a 23-metre bushfire setback that mysteriously evaporates at the boundary of lot number 6 in the plans, and then if it was to be extended, and I don't know where it's extended, but if it was to be extended, then the proposed house site at lot 6, which conforms to all the required setbacks, is actually within the bushfire management zone, but the line doesn't go through there. Now, what I would want to know, I would like to see a plan that we're discussing this matter. Imagine the situation, we pass this tonight, someone buys lot 6 and they proceed to want to build a house on there and suddenly discover that the bushfire management zone hasn't been changed. Councillor James is exactly right. These things need to be sorted out before we deal with them on this council, or else we end up in this horrible situation where someone purchases a block of land to discover that we have approved it despite the fact that there are some dotted lines missing on the map. Mr Mayor, I move a procedural motion that we defer the discussion of this to a future council meeting pending the delivery of a proper bushfire management zone.
Councillor Mulder, thank you. Well, I think it's important that we seek some professional advice here. I'll ask the CEO to address the issue that you've just raised. Thank you, CEO.
Thank you. I'll just take a moment to find the right page. The Manager of City Planning may also have some comments in respect to timing and whether there's a timing element associated with this that would see council in default. Just in regard to the bushfire area declared, sorry, I'm having trouble finding the right page. Sorry.
Do you want to go?
I'll deal with it. In terms of that particular bushfire boundary, the relevant lot has a bushfire boundary through it, and other lots don't, because those other lots have houses built on their back boundary, whereas the particular lot in question has bush reserve to its adjacent boundary. So the issue here is that in the context of the site, bushfire hazard management is assessed. This is an area that is expected to have that one lot will have particular requirements placed on it, where other lots don't have that necessity. So with respect, Councillor Mulder, I'm not sure it's the issue that you're concerned about. I think it's managed within the context. Ms Tomlinson may have some further information.
Councillor Mulder, I'll just ask Ms Tomlin to contribute, then I'll call upon you as well.
As long as you realise I haven't.
Absolutely, absolutely no. I think it's important that we just get clarity here, because you have raised an issue and we want to do the right thing by everyone. Ms Tomlin, thank you.
Yes, through you, Mayor. The bushfire hazard management is perhaps a moot point at this moment in time. Because,
sorry, a moot?
Yes,
right,
it's a moot point. Because we haven't got the certified bushfire hazard management plan that would dictate whether the BAL ratings should be and where the buffer zones should actually in fact be. So that information will be provided at the hearings with the Commission, who will be the final decision maker to then put that information onto the titles should it be approved.
Thank you, Ms Tomlin. Councillor Mulder. We can restart the clock, please.
Mr Mayor, my concern there, I think, is that we're doing this, yet that bushfire management plan hasn't been certified, as we've just heard. There are 2 points to that. One is, if it hasn't been certified, how do you come up with that 23-metre setback through that block but not the rest? The point about about lot 6 fronting private properties is not quite correct, because although 16 or 18 metres of it, there is at least 8.4 metres of lot number 6 that has exactly the same frontage to the bushfire, to the reserve, as does lot 7, yet there is no adjustment through lot 6. My deep concern is, and why I think that I can't support this, is because although there are timing issues, that bushfire management plan is a vital piece of importance before we create lot 6, lest lot 6 turns out to be incapable of having anything built on it. And I would think that that would be a huge travesty should that acquire, and I'm not in a position to approve a plan that doesn't have such a critical factor engaged in it. So that's my contribution.
Thank you, Councillor Mulder. I'll just seek some professional advice from Ms Tomlin. Are there any procedural issues why this matter is unable to be deferred tonight with regards to timing?
We are limited by timeframes to get the report to the Commission. Yes.
Right, thank you. Councillor Mulder.
Mr Mayor, my time hasn't quite expired, I don't think, but it's getting to the point where I'm just concerned that we are dealing with this within the 42-day time frame. I have a sneaking suspicion that that document has actually been prepared by probably the developer, and as such, the developer should wear the consequences of not doing it. My view is that given the situation, maybe the 42-day time limit, maybe the best course of action would be to refuse this at this particular point in time and encourage the developer to submit another application for the next council meeting, which has got the required certifications in place so that we know what we're talking about.
Any other colleagues wish to make a contribution? There being none, so was that a hand? There being none, Councillor James, right of reply.
Yes. Mr Mayor, I just endorse our professional advice with respect from our city planner, and also quote that under 5, when it is noted that the Clarence Planning Authority supports the granting of a draft subdivision permit in the event that the applicant demonstrates compliance with the bushfire-prone code requirements prior to the Commission making a determination. I seek council support.
Councillor James, thank you. I'll put the motion being the recommendation. All those in favour? Against? So carried. Colleagues, moving now on to item 7.2, which is a development application for 923 1015 Grasstree Hill Road, Grasstree Hill, section 37 and 40T, combined scheme amendment, request and boundary adjustment. I'll call for a mover. Councillor Mulder, thank you. A seconder? Thank you, Councillor Kennedy. Councillor Mulder.
Fairly straightforward, Mr Mayor. A caution about checking out your surveys before you start building things on this particular one. My only concern was with this one, and I had raised it previously, was the amount of fees that we charge people to do a desk audit of something they've already paid surveyors to do. So that was my only question. But apart from that, I'm happy to endorse this. I think it's a necessary adjustment.
Thank you, Councillor Mulder. Councillor Kennedy. Thank you, Councillor Kennedy. Any other colleagues wishing to make a contribution Councillor James.
Yeah, look, again, we did, this matter was raised, and I think a number of us had contact with the applicants on Grass Tree Hill, and one of the issues that was raised was the cost that actually the actual proponent has to meet as far as the costs that are incurred in relation to putting forward or going through the process within council. If I could, Mr Mayor, ask a question of the Manager of City Planning, and just to satisfy me in my own mind that the degree to which this particular application follows in the course of the fees, no different to any other application that comes before this place.
Councillor James, thank you. As we discussed last meeting, you asked me the question and I determine where it goes.
Yes.
Ms Tomlin, would you like to answer the question, please?
Yes, through you, Mayor. The fees that were charged were for a planning scheme amendment, which is in line with our fee schedule that we have and appropriate for this particular type of application.
Thank you, Ms Tomlin. Councillor James? Thank you, Councillor James. Any other colleagues wishing to make a contribution? There being none, Councillor Moulder, right of reply.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Yes, we accept the fact that fees are fees and fees are fees, but sometimes the fees should reflect the amount of effort involved.
Thank you, Councillor Moulder. Colleagues, I now put the motion, which is the recommendation. All those in favour? That's unanimous. Thank you very much. Council now concludes its deliberations as a planning authority under the Land Use Planning and Approvals Act 1993. Moving on to reports of officers. And there are none. Moving now on to item 9, motions on notice. There's one notice of motion from Councillor Darko. Councillor Darko. And call for a seconder, please. Councillor Hume, thank you very much. Councillor Darko, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. As noted, so this is the defacing of a memorial to a deceased and dearly missed individual. It's been defaced with language that deliberately antagonises a minority group to which she belongs, and it's one of a few anti-trans events that have occurred over the last month, being Pride Month, and in addition over the last few months. So in addition to this graffiti of the memorial, we've also had street-side protests calling for the removal of laws which recognise us for who we are. We have had billboards up in the Greater Hobart area calling for people to question whether we should have the healthcare that we say that we need. We've also had motions at a neighbouring council which have caused great distress to members of the community as well. So in moving this motion, I just want to recognise that the defacing of this memorial is not an isolated incident. It's part of a wider trend of attempts to antagonise against the transgender community and to undermine support for the rights that we have managed to get. And this defacing, in applying the graffiti that they did to a memorial for someone passed, I feel like this has particularly gone beyond the pale. And so I want to give voice to the members of the community that have asked for formal recognition of this particular event. I attended a rally in support of Marjorie in the weeks following the vandalism. And yeah, there were calls from the community for council and state parliament, but that's out of our wheelhouse, to recognise this for what it is, which is a hate-based attack, and to express our condolences to Rosemary Harwood, whose daughter Marjorie was, for the extra grief that this has caused in attacking her dearly missed daughter. I seek council's support.
Thank you, Councillor Darko. Councillor Hume.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to thank Councillor Darko for bringing on this motion. It's a very important issue. Unfortunately, there's something that shouldn't be a debate, but is a very ugly debate going on at the moment, where people are questioning the identity of trans people, and we need to stand with the LGBTQIA plus community. We need to send a strong message that these kind of attacks are unacceptable, that we are a welcoming and inclusive city. Unfortunately, there's not a lot council can do about the crime itself, other than making sure that we clean up graffiti and that we express solidarity with the community. But it is important that we send a strong message to the sort of people who are perpetuating these messages and perpetuating these attacks. And what I find particularly disgusting and shameful about this attack is that it's happened on the dead daughter of a grieving mother, as if she's not facing enough grief already from the death of her daughter. She has to put up with this rubbish. So I strongly commend the motion, and I hope we'll send a strong message that this kind of behaviour is unacceptable.
Thank you, Councillor Hume. Deputy Mayor, Councillor Ritchie.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Quite sadly, we're here today to talk about a motion to condemn essentially, a criminal act of targeted vandalism on a memorial stone for Marjorie Harwood, who passed away in 2018. This was publicly reported, as we all know, on the 24th of May, that the memorial stone was vandalised in thick red paint with a transphobic acronym. Whilst I'm not going to go down the track of what was on it, and I noticed it's clearly not mentioned in the motion either, and I understand why, I just would say to those people who perpetrated that crime, rather than attempt to make commentary on others, that they could do well to reflect on the type of people that they are engaging in that sort of activity. And I understand that there are widely divergent views amongst our community about questions concerning gender identity, but it makes me so sad that any person would think it's okay to behave in a way that is not only criminal but also causes emotional distress and anguish to anyone. And in this case, of course, transgender and gender diverse people, their families and friends. And we have to acknowledge that the pain, suffering and hurt caused by people using inappropriate words and writings is very real, and it's responsibility of all of us to make sure that we don't add to this burden. And I commend the council for the actions that they've taken in supporting to clean the memorial, and I'd like to think that we are all committed to being part of a city that fosters an inclusive community where everyone is welcome. There's no room for discrimination of any kind, and I'm sure we all want to do what we can to ensure people in our community feel supported and respected. In relation to this particular motion, everyone in our community would understand that transphobia is unacceptable, is not tolerated, and that appropriate action will be taken against anyone found to be responsible for such behaviours. The people that engage in this type of behaviour do not represent the views of the wider community. They certainly don't represent mine. And I think people will always rally against such wanton cruelty, because I think overwhelmingly most people are decent and most people are kind. An example of positive action in this space, which I've noticed is happening in other councils, interstate in particular, has been councils working on expanding apps that already exist for residents to report issues using photos around, infrastructure and potholes and things like that, to also include the capacity for community members to report incidents of hate and abuse while in public. A real practical example of working towards support for inappropriate behaviours, and something worth monitoring, I think, for future consideration, because this type of behaviour must be condemned. And can I say to anyone listening to this debate that feels distressed in any way, please reach out to support for family and friends. The Lifeline 24-hour service on 131114, the Australia-wide QLife service 1800 184 527, and I join with Council in expressing my sympathy for any distress caused to the family, and I commend Councillor Darko for bringing the motion to Council, and I support the motion.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Councillor Goyne, thank you.
Not to wish to break tradition, but I will not be supporting this motion. Whilst I understand and appreciate the reasons behind and do fully support expressing sympathy, I do not believe that this should be a matter for Council. And I also am aware of the fact that our war memorials are desecrated fairly regularly, and we do not extend and write to the families of every soldier that's involved in that either. So whilst I understand the sentiment, I will not be supporting this motion this evening.
Thank you, Councillor Goyne. Councillor Mulder.
Yeah, contrary to Councillor Goyne, I think that any action, whether it's a matter for Council or not, is something that we should have a speak at, and we should speak out against it. And we should call out these sorts of things. And I'll make the point is that this is a particularly egregious incident of this kind of phobia, be it trans or homophobia or any other sort of phobia, even religious phobia, where these sorts of things. Now, there is a role for free speech, but this is not it. This is hate speech. This is the thing. But it's also the tip of an iceberg. We can all condemn these outrageous things, but they also provide us an opportunity to reflect on our values and our cultures. It's inappropriate. These are most inappropriate words. They are most inappropriate things. But also inappropriate is homophobic or transphobic or any form of phobic words. There is inappropriate touchings. There are all those sorts of things in the social settings that we perpetuate this when we walk past those incidents, when those things happen. And it may be, this particular case is really significant because it's public, it's hurtful and it's hateful. But underlying it is a cultural attitude that people who are different from us, can be quietly demeaned in a social setting, and that we can touch people and we can say things that are inappropriate and then just laugh it off as minor social interactions, when in fact they are not. So I support this motion, and I think we should be condemning this sort of phobia of any description, no matter where it occurs and when it occurs, but particularly when it is so blatantly public as this.
Thank you, Councillor Mulder. Councillor Warren.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I too would like to commend Councillor Darko for bringing this motion. We should not underestimate the emotional burden of constantly having to defend who you are. And I do not think that this compares in any way to mindless graffiti of a war memorial. This is an attack on a person and who they are. And I have been much heartened by the debate tonight. It gives me great comfort that I now stand as part of a mature, responsible council who will not accept this, will not walk past it, and will call it out. And I will be supporting the motion.
Councillor Walker, thank you.
Thank you. Look, I did raise an issue in the media last year around some particularly detestable racist graffiti that was not just isolated but somewhat indolent and ongoing in a part of our community. And one of the problems there was to do with certain infrastructure that council wasn't able to just go ahead and sort out. That's something that's been progressed. I would make the point, and I think I'd like to acknowledge the fact that when high-level, high-offence vandalism is occurring, that this council does prioritise that and is expeditious in its dealings wherever possible. So I'd put that on the record. I did go and visit the memorial yesterday. I hadn't driven past it dozens of times. I'd never actually been up there in front, and I would indeed just offer my sympathy to Rosemary Harwood. The loss of a child is just an unimaginable and just profound grief that would just stay with one forever. So, yeah, in my role as a councillor, I express my sympathy for you.
Thank you, Councillor Walker. Any other colleague? Councillor Kennedy.
Really nothing more to add than what my colleagues have all previously said. It just makes me really sad, and even just to pick up on Councillor Goyne's point of view, you know, my dream is for kind, caring people where this just doesn't happen right across the board. But unfortunately, that's not the world that we live in, and this attack has been very personal. It must be heartbreaking for those family and wider community, and I do commend the motion. Thank you, Councillor Darko.
Thank you, Councillor Kennedy. Any other colleagues? There being none, Councillor Darko, right of reply, please.
Yeah, firstly, as noted, I do want to commend Council for what it's done so far in going out and cleaning the memorial. That very much wasn't required. That was an action that was very heartful. As noted by many colleagues around the table, this is just one type of hate. We may be the trendy target to attack right now, but we're far from the only target, as noted by Councillor Walker. And I must say, when I was writing that final point there, number 4, I absolutely had Councillor Dutta and Councillor Sherlock in mind for the racist defacement of their store. And yeah, I seek the support of all of my colleagues in making a statement that says that Clarence is a place where hate will not be accepted. Thank you.
Councillor Darko, thank you. Colleagues, I put the motion standing in the name of Councillor Darko. All those in favour? Against? That's carried. Thank you. Moving now on to item 10, Councillor's question time. 10.1, questions on notice. There are none. Nor are there any answers to questions on notice. 10.3, answers to questions without notice, previous council meeting. That's as listed in the agenda. Moving on to 10.4, questions without notice. Starting with you, Councillor Kennedy.
Nothing from me tonight, thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Wonderful. Let's see if we can get this going. Councillor Warren.
Nothing from me, thank you.
Wow. Councillor Darko.
Nothing, thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Councillor Goyne. Here we go.
I just have hopefully a quick one. I just wanted to know if at what point we are with the Cat Management Act of the possibility of enforcing management policies in line with our dog policies as far as fining wandering cat owners in line with the new updated 2023 cat management policy guidelines.
Thank you, Councillor Goyne. CEO.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you for the question. I'll take that one on notice because there'll be a number of elements to a response.
Thank you. Might call on to skip over Councillor Walker. Councillor James. Only 2?
I have 2.
Right, good.
The first one is, and it's to you, Mr. Mayor,
Thank you.
in capacity as Mayor of the City of Clarence. Has a date been established for Council to pay the $2.44 million to Shambroad in accordance with the sale and development agreement?
Thank you, Councillor James. As you'd appreciate, that's not a very simple answer. I'll defer to the CEO.
Okay, I thought.
And just an update as to where things are at there. Yeah, good question, though. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you for the question. We're still involved in a dispute resolution process that is proceeding to mediation. So at this point in time, I can't give a firm timeline.
And the second question I direct to you, if you could assist me in that regard, Mr. Mayor. When will Council receive payment on the sale of the blocks with respect to the Boulevard development at Kangaroo Bay.
Thank you, Councillor James. CEO, please.
Okay.
Thank you for the question, Councillor James. I can't give you a definitive date on that. We need to finalise issues related to the sale agreement for that site, which is also tied to some revisions on a DA at the present time.
Councillor Hume.
I asked a question last meeting about the unallocated or unspent developer contributions in terms of car parking. We've recently had some information circulated, and I thank the Chief Financial Officer for it, on headworks charges. Some of those go back as far as 2009, I believe, and I was wondering whether we would also be able to look in a workshop at, what's holding up some of those contributions that are particularly the ones that were provided a long time ago being spent.
I'll ask Sarah in a moment, but I think also I just sort of jump in here first and indicate that part of the City Hub process, of course, that project would involve car parking as well around in the City Hub area. But CEO, if you'd like to provide more detailed answer, please.
Thank you. We can certainly have a workshop discussion if that's the will of Council to do that. But given that we've had a number of bites at answering this question, I might ask if we can get the totality of the issue and the questions on paper so that we can then respond to it fully and completely rather than taking it a bite at a time. And then at the end of that process, if there's a need for a workshop session, we can certainly do that.
Councillor Hume. Okay, thank you. Councillor, if you don't mind, I'll go back to Councillor Walker and ask if you have any questions at all tonight. Thank you, Councillor Walker. Councillor Hunter. Councillor Mulder.
Yep, I refer to the Howrah Beach shoreline track and the continuing problems with canine faeces in this area, in this on-lead area, what was supposed to be an on-lead area. My question is in two parts, or you can take it as two questions. What on-lead enforcement is incurring in this area? And two, will Council consider some of the more innovative signage, which is to coin a phrase, I've seen some of it around, it's very innovative, to ensure that people who are running on this track, A, keep their dogs on the lead, and B, clean up after their dogs.
Thank you, Councillor Mulder. Mr Brennan, are you in a position to provide an answer, please? Thank you very much. Councillor Mulder, a second question? Yes, thank you. Deputy Mayor.
I do. Thank you, Mr Mayor. In a recent Mercury report on or around the 20th of June, a report detailed the coroner's findings in relation to a fatal accident that sadly took place in 2021 involving Adam Oates on Middle Tea Tree Road. The coroner, while making no findings against the Clarence City Council, did recommend that the council assess and, if necessary, repair a rut on the gravel edge of the road at the site of the accident. My question is council aware of the coroner's report, and has council scheduled, or will they be prepared to schedule such an assessment and undertake any remediation works if necessary?
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Mr Graham, please.
Through you, Mr Mayor, I appreciate Councillor Ritchie bringing this up prior to the meeting. We certainly were not informed of this, and I didn't realise that or pick that up in the immediate notices. I have since managed to download the inquest findings, which does recommend council at least repair the rut. I'll forward that to my team tomorrow to investigate upon urgency.
Thank you, Mr Graham. Deputy Mayor.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Well, colleagues, that comes to the end of our questions without notice. We now move to item 11, which is closed meeting. I'll call for a motion to move into closed meeting. A mover. Thank you, Councillor Kuhn. Seconded, Councillor Warren. All those in favour? Thank you. Thank you to those members of the public who have joined us via Zoom or live stream this evening, and look forward to seeing you here in a few weeks' time. Please end the stream.